the story of a night I'll never forget, a taxi ride that started normal and ended with me running for my life. And by the end of this, you'll understand why I walk everywhere now, no matter how far, no matter how late. My name is Marcus, and this happened 3 months ago in Denver. I work in Ed 2. Most nights I'm out of the office by 6, but that Friday we had a major system crash. I ended up staying until almost 1 a.m. fixing servers and resetting passwords for angry employees who needed their systems back up. By the time I locked up and stepped outside, downtown Denver was dead quiet. That eerie kind of quiet where your footsteps echo. My car was in the shop. I'd been using rideshare apps all week, but my phone was at 4% battery. I'd forgotten my charger at home that morning. Like an idiot, I opened the app, watched it search for drivers, and my phone died right as it found someone perfect. I looked around. There was a regular taxi idling at the corner, the yellow cab light glowing in the darkness. I hadn't taken an actual taxi in years. Everything's apps now, but I was exhausted, freezing, and I just wanted to get home. So I walked over and knocked on the passenger window. The driver rolled it down. He was maybe in his late 50s, wearing a worn leather jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. He had this thick gray beard and tired eyes. He looked exactly like every taxi driver I'd ever seen, completely unremarkable. He asked where I was headed. I gave him my address. He nodded, told me to hop in. The inside of the cab smelled like old coffee and air freshener trying to cover up cigarette smoke. The meter wasn't running. I pointed that out. He waved it off, said the meter was broken, but he charged me a flat rate. $25. That was actually cheaper than what the app would have charged with surge pricing, so I said fine. We pulled away from the curb and I settled into the backseat, grateful to finally be heading home. That gratitude lasted about 4 minutes. I live in Capitol Hill, which is northeast of downtown. Basic geography. You take Colfax or you take 16th Street, head east, pretty straightforward, but about 5 minutes into the drive, I noticed we were heading west toward the mountains, away from my neighborhood. I leaned forward and tapped on the divider, asked him if he knew where he was going. He said yes. Told me there was construction on the usual route, said this way was faster. I'd driven through downtown every day that week. There was no construction, but I didn't want to be that passenger who second guesses every turn, so I let it go. Figured he knew a shortcut. Another 3 minutes passed. We were definitely not heading toward my place anymore. We were in an industrial area now, warehouses, empty lots. The kind of neighborhood where nothing's open after 9 p.m. I pulled out my phone to check the map, then remembered it was dead. I told him again, more firmly this time, that we were going the wrong way. He didn't respond, just kept driving. His eyes in the rearview mirror looked different now. More focused, I tried the door handle lock, child safety locks. That's when I started to panic. I told him to pull over, let me out. He ignored me completely, like I wasn't even speaking. I could see his hands on the wheel, knuckles white, gripping tight. I banged on the divider and shouted at him. Still nothing. We turned onto a side street with no lights, just darkness and empty buildings. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I looked for something, anything I could use. There was nothing in the back seat except me and a stained old blanket on the floor. I tried the door again, pulling the handle as hard as I could. It wouldn't budge. And then he spoke for the first time since we left downtown. He spoke. He said very quietly, "You're not the first." I froze. What? He met my eyes in the rearview mirror and he smiled, not a friendly smile, something else, something that made my skin crawl. "You're not the first one to take a ride with me, and you won't be the last." I started yelling, screaming for help, even though there was no one around to hear me. I kicked at the windows, but they were reinforced, some kind of heavy plastic or plexiglass. I wasn't getting out that way. The cab kept driving deeper into this maze of warehouses and empty streets. He was talking now, not to me, to himself, muttering under his breath. I couldn't make out most of it, but I caught fragments, words like collection and number 7 and something about a ritual. I didn't want to understand. I didn't want to know what any of that meant. We turned again and then I saw where we were going. At the end of the street was a Malex pronounced a single bed and above the side cone. Kieram skalek swelling talamas was him. Ready the was gone all happy miskumad that in that doting and that mill. With the select so they can keep it if it will inside. Then back out. I did the only thing I could think of. I pulled off my belt. It was leather with a heavy metal buckle. I wrapped it around my fist and started smashing it against the divider between the front and back seats. The divider was plexiglass too, but older, more brittle. It cracked on the third, hit spider-webbed on the fifth. The driver realized what I was doing and hit the brakes hard. I flew forward, slamming into the divider, which cracked even more from the impact. He threw the car into park and started getting out. I had maybe 5 seconds before he came around to the back door. I punched through the cracked divider with the belt buckle, reached through the gap. My hand found the passenger door lock button and I pressed it. I heard the locks click open. The driver was at my door now, pulling the handle, but I'd already moved to the opposite side. I shoved that door open with my shoulder and fell out onto the asphalt. I scrambled to my feet and ran. Behind me I heard him shouting, heavy footsteps chasing me. I ran harder than I've ever run in my life. Cutting between buildings, jumping over chain link fences, not looking back, just running. Industrial district was a nightmare to navigate. Every alley looked the same. Every building was dark and locked. I had no phone, no way to call for help. I could hear him behind me, not right behind me, but close enough, his footsteps echoing off concrete. His voice calling out, telling me to stop, telling me it would be worse if I made him work for it. I turned a corner and found myself in a dead end, a tall fence, barbed wire at the top, no way over. I spun around. He was at the entrance to the alley, silhouetted against the streetlight behind him. Walking slowly, now he knew he had me. He was holding something I couldn't see what it was in the darkness, but the way he was carrying it low at his side made my stomach drop. I looked around desperately. There was a dumpster against one wall. I grabbed the edge and pulled myself up onto the lid. It was slippery and rusted, but I managed to get on top. From there I could reach a fire escape ladder. It was one of those that's supposed to extend down when you pull it, but it was stuck, rusted in place. I heard his footsteps getting closer. I jumped, grabbed the bottom rung of the ladder and pulled myself up using just my arms. My shoulders screamed, I'm not in great shape. I work in IT, I sit at a desk all day, but fear is a hell of a motivator. I got my feet on the ladder and started climbing. Behind me I heard him trying to pull himself up on the dumpster. Grunting with effort, I didn't look down, I just climbed. The fire escape led to the roof of the warehouse. I pulled myself over the edge and lay there for a second, gasping for air, muscles shaking. Then I heard the metal sound of him on the ladder below. I forced myself up and ran across the roof. There was another building close by. Maybe a 6-foot gap. I didn't think I'd just jump. I barely made it. My chest hit the edge of the other roof and I clawed my way up, cutting my hands on loose gravel. I could hear him on the first roof now, breathing hard, swearing at me. I kept moving roof to roof, fire escape to fire escape. I finally found one that went all the way down to street level. I slid down that ladder so fast I burned my hands on the metal, hit the ground and ran. I ran for what felt like miles, but was probably only 6 or 7 blocks. Eventually I found myself on a main street, Federal Boulevard, with actual traffic and lights and people. I stumbled into a 24-hour gas station. Probably looking completely insane, covered in cuts and scrapes, gasping for air, wild-eyed. The clerk took one look at me and asked if I needed him to call 911. I said yes. The police came out, told them everything, described the cab, described the driver, told them about the warehouse and the chase. They took it seriously, which surprised me. One of the officers told me I was the 3rd person in 2 months to report a similar incident. A taxi driver picking up passengers late at night and taking them to that industrial area. The other 2 had managed to escape too, but no one had been able to get a license plate or cab number. They drove me to the area where it happened. We found the warehouse. I described the side door was open inside. They found equipment tables with restraints bolted to them, tools arranged on a workbench, photographs on the walls, Polaroids of people. I didn't look closely at those photographs, I didn't want to know. But they never found him. The cab was gone, no cameras in that area caught the plates, he'd vanished. The detective told me something that still keeps me up at night. She said they'd been tracking reports like mine for almost 3 years. Diffie City, so was the same description, nickname. Unlicensed taxi driver matching the same general appearance in this area. But by the time police arrived, everything was gone clean, like the operation just picked up and moved every few weeks. She said most passengers never reported it because they got away and just wanted to forget it happened. She said I was lucky. She said the ones who didn't get away, well, there were a lot of missing persons cases that matched the timeline and locations. That was 3 months ago. I gave statements, I looked at hundreds of photos trying to identify him. Nothing, he was a ghost. The investigation is still open, but they have no leads. I don't take taxis anymore, obviously, but I also don't use rideshare apps. I walk everywhere. Even when it's late, even when it's cold, I'd rather walk 5 miles in the snow than get into a stranger's car again. My therapist says I'm dealing with PTSD. She's probably right. I have nightmares about that warehouse, about what would have happened if I hadn't broken through that divider, about the photographs on those walls and whether I would have ended up as one of them. But here's the thing that really haunts me, the thing I can't stop thinking about. 2 weeks ago, I was walking home from a friend's place. It was around midnight, and I saw a taxi yellow cab idling at a corner. I was on the opposite side of the street, but something made me look. The driver was visible in the glow of a streetlight. It was him, same baseball cap, same gray beard, same tired eyes. And he was looking right at me. I ran, didn't think, didn't hesitate. I just ran. When I looked back, the taxi was gone. I don't know if he followed me. I didn't stop running until I was home with every door locked. I filed another report. Police checked traffic cameras. No yellow cab was in that area at that time. They said I must have been mistaken. Stress and trauma can make you see things that aren't there. But I know what I saw. He's still out there, still driving that cab. Still picking up passengers who stay late at work, who have dead phone batteries, who just want to get home safely. And the scariest part is he looks so normal, so unremarkable, you'd never look twice at him. You get in this cab without a second thought until it's too late. So do me a favor, next time you need a ride late at night, check the driver's information. Check the license plate, share your trip with someone, keep your phone charged. And if the driver starts going the wrong way, if they ignore you when you speak, if something feels even slightly off, get out immediately, doesn't matter if the car is still moving. Break a window if you have to, because I promise you whatever consequences come from jumping out of a moving car are nothing compared to what happens if you stay. I learned that the hard way, and I got lucky. Most people don't.